So welcome today. My name is Camille Collison. I'm a member of Tuskia Clan or Crow Clan of the Tahltan Nation located in northern British Columbia, the Yukon and Alaska, so the people of the Stikine River, Canada's Grand Canyon. So I want to say how honored I am here today to be here to welcome you. And I want to give acknowledgement to the Creator for placing this land we call Turtle Island for us to meet on, and with gratitude for both the water and for the land and for all of you here today. As an Indigenous Alliance, we want to recognize that we are sovereign peoples and nations here in this place now known as Canada. So we are working as such. We also acknowledge that many of our associations and organizations reside on sovereign territories, and we encourage all of the members that are here today to learn whose territory their organizations operate on. So I am currently the university librarian at the University of Fraser Valley, and I'm coming to you from Stalo Tumex, which is the sacred land of the Stalo peoples in otherwise known as Abbotsford, British Columbia. And I'm honored to live and work and have among my acquaintances and loved ones many people from the Stalo territory. So I'm honored to be here. And I think that one of the first things that we're going to have to do after that is to talk about some notes for our gathering. So just some quick logistical matters. So number one is that we wanted to, some housekeeping is that we're going to record the meeting for our note-taking purposes. We also are looking to have this posted on our website in the days following the meeting, so that people who weren't able to attend can then access the recording. So we have a number of guests with us today, and there are people looking to investigate who we are, and we hope that you'll join us as members soon. But a reminder that the guests may not participate in the voting process unless you're carrying a proxy. So additionally, we have a number of organizations and institutional members, and the lead of those organizations have the ability to invite their staffers to join us, and a reminder that only the lead votes, because there's, for those bodies, there's one vote per member organization. Finally, there are a few individual members who are leads on their organization or institutional memberships. And while these individuals as well have submitted proxies, they may have more than one vote. And we will have a one vote on the e-poll. So if we are close based on the numbers present, being a pass and not a vote, we'll do a show of hands and count the multiple hands of those in attendance. Moving and seconding will occur by people placing their names in the chat. So here we are adapting for the virtual reality that we are all now in. And we will take the first two that we see for the first, for the mover and the seconder. Voting will then be completed on a Zoom poll. We have the lovely Hannah Saunders going to administer that, and she's in the background doing much of the work today with the Zoom. So she will be sending out the Zoom polls, and our volunteers will show the results of each of those votes. Following the meeting, we will keep the Zoom open for anybody who would like to chat about general interest, areas that you'd like your community to be focused on. But first we'll get through the AGM business so that we can work towards that. So the first thing that we have on the agenda is approval of our agenda, so that the members the recommended motion is that the members approve the agenda for the annual gathering of members February 1st, 2022. So I need a mover and a seconder. So if somebody would like to put their name in the chat for a mover and a seconder. So Mary Dodge moves the agenda and Julianne Kingston seconds it. And so I'm going to ask you to approve or reject the agenda. So if you can click on the wonderful poll that popped up on your screen and submit, that would be great. And Hannah will let us know. And in the meantime, I would love to be able to introduce the members of our executive committee. So Dr. Sabrina Saunders, the amazing treasurer and actual force of nature behind much of this work. It's also the CEO of Blue Mountains Public Library and the incoming president of Ontario Library Association, among many of her other volunteer endeavors. And then we have Feather Miracle, who many of you know from OLA, but also too, she is the director of Six Nations Public Library and an incredible friend, and been one of the champions of moving this forward from being the yellow team leader, sorry about that, of Indigenous Matters. So welcome to my fellow executives here today. That's A2 is done. It was approved. Thank you very much. So we would like to mention about the approval of previous minutes. Since this is the first annual gathering that you're here for, there's no minutes to approve, but the council minutes can be found on the website. So we've been having regular council minutes, and those are available there. And I just want to jump down to the Leads report, and it was included into your package, but we will jump down to it. So it's really my honor to be here today after many years of discussions between myself, Feather Miracle, Dr. Sabrina Saunders. We move forward. I want to say that we have, I think that you can are welcome to read it, but I'm just going to give a little bit of a narrative, is that many people have worked towards creating this reality, and at many times worked very hard to be able to create a national association for Indigenous professionals in libraries and in other aspects. And one of the motivators was to be able to have kind of like a Canadian ATAM, or Association of Tribal Archives, Libraries, and Museums. And I see many of you here today that have worked very hard volunteering, but it was when we started meeting at the end of 2020 and early 2021 when we were able to come together as three of us to just say, okay, we're going to do it. And we established a not-for-profit with the work of Dr. Sabrina Saunders, and then we worked to be able to develop the bylaws and the policies, and we held our inaugural meeting in July when we launched NIKLA's website. So it's a new and improved website, and I'm so grateful to Sabrina's the library for working on a lot of this kind of work for us, to do all the technical work to be able to get us going. So in that moment, we decided to, we would work towards, in the first year, on behalf of NIKLA's current and future members, it basically, we wanted our next steps to be first to get more members into NIKLA and populate our communities. So this is us moving forward to the future. And that would be our first line of influence with like-minded practitioners, bringing issues to the forefront. Second, we have to identify areas of needs for each community. So looking towards having some tangible achievements, and this type of work will bring new members in to be able to strengthen our community. And now I just lost my place. So that's really nice of myself to do that. And I think that one of the things that I did want to mention is that later on in the agenda, we will be having moving forward to having elections, and we hope that like-minded practitioners will offer their assistance to be able to become leads of those areas. And I think that, best practices, I had my report in many different places. And of course, now that I got nervous, I lost my place to it. So that's kind of a Camille Foucault here. So if you can just hold on a second, I will get back to it. And then I will read, can't continue with it. Apologies. Something always happens when you're doing things in a few different computers. So third, we will need to consider our establishment documents in the coming years to determine if the organizational structure as we have set it up is meeting the intention of Indigenous-led associations, peers and allies who are coming together to improve the fields of knowledge workers. So we realize that not everything is perfect today. And there's going to be pieces of the bylaw that you might not like, or the naming of a community that isn't perfect, but we're here to do the work together. And we're so happy that you're here with us to do that work. And in the coming months, we'll be meeting in the communities, recruiting more members, prioritizing tasks and work plans, and creating that vision that we've all had for many years to be able to found a national association for Indigenous people that's Indigenous-led and run. So I think that's about it for that. So I need someone to make a motion to accept my report as information only. Awesome. Okay, so we have thank you, Susan and Elaine, for seconding. And now we can move to voting. That would be great. So while that vote is coming in, I'm going to invite our treasurer to give her report. We should have the results of that vote.
Our votes are still coming in. Looks like we're pretty close there. 30 people.
Even with my faux pas, thank you very much for passing that. So that motion is carried. And now I'm going to turn it over to our treasurer, Dr. Sabrina Saunders.
So the report was provided in the package. I'll give just some updates on some pieces. Obviously, this is something that was based on the December 31st end of the year. At that point, we had 17 memberships. As of about an hour ago, we're at 44, and we've been getting email messages from people in the past hour that unfortunately we just didn't have time to finish the paperwork with them, but we're letting people in, so they'll be participating. They just won't be voting at this point. So we're hoping to have significantly more as we continue on during the next week and people start to hear about this. A few things that are a bit different, given that it's our inaugural year. We started with obviously no money, so the executive were basically floating the organization. So you can see that that's listed there. Also, because we have so little funds that have come in over the past, 8 months that we've been an organization, we're not doing an audit. So for the purposes of this AGM, it makes no sense when, you've only made about $2,000 in membership to spend $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 on an audit. So we did provide the balance sheet and the income sheet. We'll continue to see how things go in the next year. And we'll obviously start doing audits when it becomes financially viable, or when grant money that's received requires us to do so, which again, it would be financially viable at that point. So outside of that, and me thanking Sheila Patterson, the ED from OLA, for allowing us to piggyback on OLA for this inaugural AGM, I have nothing else to add. So we can bring up the resolution to approve the treasurer's report. We just need a mover and a seconder.
There we go. So can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report? the members will receive the treasurer's report as information. So Anna Saunders and Heather George. Hi, Heather. And now we can vote. And while we are receiving that, I would like to ask for the community reports to be read by Heather Merrill. And I believe that, did the poll come up?
We're at 26 individuals that have voted. There's still a few more coming in.
I think we're at 100%. So thank you. I would call the motion to receive the treasurer's report as information carried. So the next thing on the agenda is the community reports. And I believe that Heather Merrill is going to walk us through the community reports. Let's give a little bit of an update. Welcome,
Hi. As for the community reports, they are still in the process of being created. We have the library is well represented here with Camille Collison and Sabrina Saunders. The community reports will be discussed in more completion once we have members.
Thank you. So thank you very much for that, Heather. And I think that one of the things is one of the community reports that we have is that we have been actively working to be able to move things forward for some of the work around respectful terminology. So I do want to note that this meeting is actually the fulfillment of number 10 and many years of work even before that, because that was recognizing the work that happened before that by NIKLA and by others to create an Indigenous association. And we are, during the CFLA FCAB, Truth and Reconciliation report and recommendations, number 10 recommendations, and the work of the white team was led by Heather Merrill and Ann Carwigan, was to be able to support and to help create a national association that was Indigenous led and run. So even us meeting here today is the fulfillment of that number 10 in that report that we had put forward for 45 professionals from across the country. So I did want to mention that as part of the community reports, and this is really just for information. The other thing is that Dr. Stacey Ellison-Kassan and myself have been working on respectful terminology with members from Heritage and from Library and Archives Canada and with CRKN to hopefully move forward on the work that was being done by the joint working group of the RED team on that started off with creating the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit Indigenous ontology. And so I think it's really important that we continue that work of creating respectful terminology in all of our cultural memory institutions. So that work is continuing. We're continuing doing advocacy on behalf of NIKLA for that. Hopefully we will be successful. In the next couple months, you should receive an invitation to be part of a national dialogue on some of that work. So those are some of the things that are up and coming in the future. And I think I see that we are ready to just receive. I don't know if we have to make the motion to receive the community reports as information, but that is a bit of an update. I'm going to have to defer to Sabrina to let me know if I need to make a motion for that.
We should accept as information, and just for the members who are present, there have not really been community activities. There's been 3 worker bees trying to recruit members in, but next year we will definitely have our 5 full communities providing reports, and we hope that everybody will be active in those. If I may also, Camille, there was an Ontario update having to do with the ontology and the respectful terminology. Feather, Miracle, and myself, as both NIKLA and also members of JASI, the Joint Automated Server Initiative through the Ontario Library Service, pushed quite hard over the past year, and Feather has been pushing probably for the past 4 or 5 years on this piece. And a good announcement is that as a result, the Library Service Center, which is one of our major book vendors in the country, has been contracted by Ontario Library Service to provide a complete reboot of their catalog with the respectful terminology for everybody who participates in that particular ILS. There's about 116 libraries in Ontario. Most of those are small. Most of them are First Nation. There are some mediums. We're in there ourselves, and it is a growing ILS. So that is just a great good news story, and we hope to see more of the consortiums out there doing the same thing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think we should move on to have someone make a motion to receive the community reports as information. And I think we do have a few people, so congratulations. On that note, we don't have anybody making a motion or seconding for acceptance of the community reports as information. Rebecca Ross, thank you. And Robin. Okay, here we go. So I think we'll move to the voting. If you could please vote, that would be great. So we're going to move down to section E while we wait for the vote, and in your notes, which is the draft bylaws. The following bylaws were reviewed and endorsed by the council on, and looks like we passed for giving you informal updates, so that's great. The following bylaws were reviewed and endorsed by the council at the November 25th, 2021 meeting for immediate release. These bylaws were general membership, procedural, council and community meetings, procedural, gathering of members and directors. So we would like to the members to make a motion to approve the bylaws as endorsed by the council on November 25th. Sabrina, did you want to speak to those? Some of these were adapting the existing bylaws for societies, for not-for-profit societies, to be able to make it a little bit more, adapting them so that we could work with them a little bit more easily. And those are included in your AGM package as well. So I think Sabrina and Mary Dodge have made the motion, and Mary Dodge approved. So if we can call for question and vote. So thank you so much for approving that motion. And we will move on to the next motion. So I know that there's quite a bit of work to be done here at the first AGM, but the draft of NIKLA's strategic policies review. So the following strategic policies were reviewed and endorsed by the council on November 25th. 2021 meeting for release to members, which was policy 2022.6, mission and mandates, policy 2022.07, vision statement, policy 2022.08, value statement, depending on previous discussions. So the recommended motion in this case is that the members approve the strategic policies of the National Indigenous Knowledge and Language Alliance. So you would have received those as well, and as well, they are also on the website. So I need someone to make the motion and for a seconder. Thank you, Hannah. And thank you, Julie. Patricia, next one. So now we will move to the voting. And approved, Carrie, thank you. E3 is NIKLA's approved policies. The operational policies have been approved by the council on November 25th, 2021 council meeting. Policy 2021.01 Code of Ethics. Policy 2021.02 Financial Management. Policy 2021-03 Membership Fee Structure 2022. Policy 2021.04 Access to Information and Protection of Privacy. The next, I'm going to lump them together apparently with the next vote. Is that correct? For draft terms of reference. The terms of reference have been approved by the council, including the mandate of each community and terms of reference template. Communities will review these and then bring back any recommendations of the mandate back to the next AGM. So the mandate for archive community terms of reference, mandate for culture and heritage community terms of reference, mandate for language preservation, instruction, and community terms of reference, mandate for libraries, community terms of reference, mandate for museums, community terms of reference. So the recommended motion in this case is that the members accept as information the mandates of each community. So I need someone to make that motion and then someone to second. So we have Elaine making the motion and Patricia seconding, and we can go to the voting. Thank you so much for the motion, and it is carried. So now we are at elections, E5. The council will hear nominations for members for election to act as 1 year in needs of various communities. The primary role for this year is to assist with the recruitment in your community and hold a minimum of 3 meetings to determine and implement priorities for your community. As this is an initial election with limited members, the first call for nominations will include self-nominations and nominations of those registered in a primary community, with the second call taking any member of NIKLA. The terms shall last for 2 years, ending at the 2024 gathering. So we're going to start actually from the bottom, and we're going to talk about, first of all, we're going to make a call for a member at large from an institution or any Class B. And please feel free to self-nominate or to nominate someone else as long as you have their free will. You can't volunteer people to do this, sorry. They actually have to agree. So the member of large in this case is an institution. So if you have an institutional membership, then you would be eligible for nomination.
And if we don't have any institutional members who are interested in running at this time, then council, that'll be one of the first orders of business, is to fill those positions for the first year only.
Dalhousie is happy to do so. So we have a nomination. Do we have a second nomination? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. So we will do a motion for everyone all at the end, but we have Dalhousie's name is standing in the member of large for number 11. Member of large for an organization or any class B is open for election. Anyone can let their name stand for this. It's a member at large of an organization or class B.
So these would be our libraries, our museums, anyone who had the $100 membership.
I see a huge stampede to the mic, right? So you don't, there isn't a requirement for indigeneity in this one. And so I do want to encourage people to step up and be part of this. I'm sure it won't be too painful, but if not, we can appoint. That is when the volunteer part will happen. So hearing none, oh, look at this. Oh yes, Canadian Commission for UNESCO is happy to join. Thank you so much. And I think Barbara Fouillon is here for them, so that's great. So I will move now to number 9, which is the Museum Community Lead is open. So this may be one of those that we have to appoint. We'll have to say going once, going twice, going 3 times. The next number 8 is for the Library Community Lead. And I know that there's a lot of librarians here today. I see people turning off their cameras so they don't have to make eye contact. But that really won't work because I do still see your name, actually. I have to get on my best anti-face here to like guilt you a little bit.
Well, if you're not prepared to be the lead, we certainly will have you on our committees working. So that's all good.
Yeah, that's true. So the next is for language preservation and instruction community. And one of these areas that we've talked about with language preservation and instruction. So there should be a spot there for anyone to self-nominate or nominate for this. And I think, do I see anybody put forward? No, going once, going twice. You'll all be part of the community, and you can decide amongst yourselves, and we can appoint someone to be the lead there. Okay, so the next number 6 is for Culture and Heritage Community Lead. Please put your name in the chat. So sadly, we don't have the pre-meeting arm twisting that's going on now. And I'm sure some people can see me looking at them. But you will be part of that community. And I guess one of the things that will have to happen with that one too is that we will have to work within the community to figure out who will be the lead that sits on the board. So the lead isn't necessarily the person that's going to be doing everything, but they will be representing that community at the board. So remembering that is kind of important. So I think we're not actually, we haven't quite struck out yet, but we'll go to the archival community lead, and hopefully someone will step up for archives. So we're doing a call here for the lead of archives. Okay. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. I just want to say that number 4, the treasurer is a member of the executive, and this is held by Dr. Sabrina Sanders through to 2024 gathering. The council secretary executive held by Feather Miracle Luke through to 2024 gathering. The co-lead position number 1 executive is held by myself, Neil Collison, through to 2024 gathering. We have an opening for a co-lead position number 2 in the executive that would be the co-lead with myself, and that is open for election. So I'd like to see some names being put into the chat to be a co-lead. I think we're a pretty easy group to get along with on the executive, and we usually have very nice meetings to get things done. So if we could see somebody else putting their name in there, I would love to see some of the people that have worked with us all through the years to become part of that inaugural board and executive. I'm going to wait a little bit longer for this. Christelle, what would the lead for each of the communities do? So part of that is helping to form the community and providing the forum. So there's supposed to be 3 meetings a year, and just to form the work plan and what tasks you'd like to do or how you'd like the community to come together. So there's been a number of things happen in each of the communities working towards, whether it's towards reconciliation or working on different projects that the community might think that there should be done. So they could do like a webinar, or if they wanted to work on some of the respectful terminology work, that's one of the projects that we do have ongoing. So those are the kind of things, and then they would attend the board meetings. And for the first year, there might be more board meetings, but we do intend to have, I think, a minimum of 3 or 4 per year, and the next after that. So it would be for the first year, 4. Heather says 4, so we'll have 4 a year after that. So that's kind of what the leads would be able to do, would be responsible for. If you are on the executive, then there's a bit more duties. You would have to be responsible for a certain portfolio that you might be, I think we all have to do signing authority and that kind of thing. The usual kind of committee executive tasks in addition to leading. So right now, not too onerous as we're getting established, and I don't believe that it will be. Part of the work that we do is to try, we know that people are volunteering off the sides of their desks, so it's not like it will be a full-time position. Although if we are funded for some of the projects that we're working on, then there would be some types of work that might be available. But at this point, everything is volunteer, so not full-time, just off the side of your desk. I hope that helped interest some people, but if not, I think we should move forward unless I see a name coming out. So I'm just going to say going once, going twice, going 3 times. And the recommended motion is that the council approve the inaugural council of the National Indigenous Knowledge and Language Alliance, and that the existing members of the council are provided executive power to appoint until the next AGM additional members to fill any of the remaining seats of council. So recognizing that we know that people may not be here today or they're still making up their mind, that we are provided with executive power to appoint them until the next AGM. So I need a motion, someone to make the motion. So Hannah and then Patricia, and now we can vote. So we've broken it into 2, that we approve the inaugural council as stands with the additional nominees, and that we will approve the council having executive power until the next AGM to appoint any additional members, additional members to fill any remaining seats of council. And the reason why this is to the next AGM is because we don't want to have where people are appointed permanently, but only for this inaugural council so that we can fill it. So this is approved, and there'll be some arm twisting going on later on behind the scenes. I can definitely guarantee that. So we'll move forward. The deadline, the E6 is member motions, and the deadline for member recommendations was actually January 26th. So you would have received a few reminders on that if you had been a member before then. And so right now there's no recommendations received, so we won't be having any member motions. And the next thing that we move to is adjournment. And the recommended motion for that is that this gathering of members adjourn at, it's 3:45 in the Pacific region. So I guess it would be 6:45 in the Eastern time zone in Ontario to reconvene for the 2023 members gathering at the call of the lead. So if I can have someone make that motion and second it, that would be great. Heather is making the motion. She has to put her name in chat. Heather Miracle made the motion. Are there any seconders? Okay, Michaela seconds. Hi, Michaela. So now we can vote. And that was approved. And so we are adjourned and people can unmute their mics and talk to each other. And I did promise 45 minutes. I think we did okay. So, well, I just want to say how grateful I am that all of you came. And I see so many people that have helped us get this started and worked very hard throughout the years. And I think that all of you are acknowledged, or many of you are acknowledged anyway, on the blog postings, and we acknowledge other people that have had a role in trying to get this off the ground. So I do want to say a huge thank you, Madhu, and I raise my hands to all of you for actually making this a reality. I was like this morning, is it really actually going to happen? Because we've waited so many years to have our own alliance and to be able to do this. So there's a number of things that we can do, and I believe that we're making history here today. And as always, I always believe we can change the world. So I hope that moving forward, you'll hear more from us in the near future. And thank you so much for coming. I didn't realize I was standing in between a bingo game and time. So that's really a dangerous place for any Indigenous woman to stand between. I'm like, that's very scary. I don't know why the bingo was put right after us, but here we are. So